Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to Xbox On. We're here at E3, and I'm very happy today because I've had a load of extra play time with Shadow of War.
I'm so jealous, all right? I wasn't there, okay? So you're going to have to fill me in on everything I've missed, okay?
So obviously we've been getting to go behind closed doors, get loads of hands-on with games that normally we wouldn't be able to at this moment in time. So we've got like a couple little bit of sneak peeks that we haven't seen so far. First up, we did the Fortress Assault, which I know we both have done before.
Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago we got to do that. We did the same mission together.
Yeah.
Well, not together, we did it separately, but we did the same one.
But what's also cool, it's not really the same one because we had our own little unique differences.
Exactly, it goes so different. I think you did a lot better than me as well.
I killed the War Chief, it's what matters. But obviously for those of you that don't know what the Fortress Assaults are, it's kind of a new mission within Shadow of War that allow you to kind of capture the zones from Sauron, right, and his horrible army of stupid little orcs.
That's one way of putting it. So yeah, the basic premise is that you'll have these fortresses which will have a war chief who's ruling over it, and you want to obviously take him down and take control of the fortress. So you can go about it a different ways. You can go, you know, pick down the sort of smaller down commanders and things like that. Work your way up. There's lots of customization involved, and yeah, it's very deep. It's got a lot of depth to it.
Yeah. So obviously when you're starting Fortress Assault, there's a couple things that you have to think about, and it's all about kind of the prep before you go in. So you'll start the mission, and then you'll kind of be taken to this menu where you can then, first of all, you kind of observe what the enemy have got set up. So if they've got like iron walls, if they've got certain defenses set up, that's going to make it difficult for you. And then you'll go through your army and select things that kind of help you successfully beat the fortress. So you kind of look at what the fortress has in terms of their strengths and what their weaknesses are, whether they're scared of spiders, whether they're scared of fire, all that sort of stuff, and then kind of plan your attack like appropriately. Then you just get to rush it.
Exactly. Like when I played there, one of the orcs was weak against fire, so one of the bonuses you can have is having like a special fire damage. Yeah. So I put that on, and then when it came to taking him down, just completely destroyed him.
Just the fell beast is kind of like launching. It's just like, all right, it's great.
Yeah, and also you can get the drakes, the dragons.
Yeah, the drake is pretty cool as well. But that's also going to be like sometimes be a bit difficult because it can attack both your army and their army. So unless you kind of take control of it, it's kind of like a in the middle sort of thing. Yeah,
because I chose a drake and it killed me. So word of warning, like you don't always become a badass dragon rider, you know, it sometimes can go wrong.
No, and then so pretty much once you've done all that, selected everything that's going to be going on in the battle, you then have to take 3 points working your way through the fortress till you get to the war chief at the end, where you kind of go into the room, right, or the war chief arena.
Yeah. It's quite grand, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it depends. Like, this is one of the things as well. It all depends on what kind of war chief's in there, which is pretty cool. But yeah, then once you've killed the war chief successfully, right, you then taken over the fortress, and it kind of will then move you on to the next thing that we learned about, right, in Shadow of War, which is kind of choosing your war chief and what kind of impact that's going to have in the world around you.
So yeah, once you've taken control of the fortress, you pick your own war chief to lead it, which is pretty cool. So you can, you know, change what happens, what it looks like, everything like that. You're in control of it.
Yeah, and there's a few things that will kind of like change what it looks like. So every single like kind of captain within your army belongs to a certain tribe, whether it's kind of like a machine, which means they kind of like focus on kind of like getting the most out of like the ground, like kind of harvesting stuff. All these different tribes that have a big effect, or like kind of a beast hunter. So they kind of, you know, love their wargs and kind
wild of animals roaming around, you'll see, and things like that.
But it'll completely change how the fortress looks kind of by design. Also,
the banners and everything.
Yeah, and strengths bonuses, which is pretty cool. And it's just kind of, once again, it's just kind of the big thing with Shadow of War. It's all about kind of creating your own individual unique experience, which is pretty cool.
Exactly. And like as when you're fighting in the fortress and you meet some of those nasty guys, you can take control. Obviously, you can either kill them or you can make them join your side. So maybe, you know, you'll take one down on the way and then make him the war chief.
Bright Lord, Dark Lord, same thing really.
Dominate the ones you want. Dominate the ones you want if they're super powerful, because there's different rarities as well. Actually, this is something I've just remembered, right? Because this is something from behind closed doors. It's one of the best things when you get to have hands-on and get to speak to developers while playing through it. So orcs and captains that you come across in Shadow of War are actually going to have different like kind of rarities. So you're going to get like epic, legendary, and those sort of captains. So you can get better war chiefs effectively. So if you get like an epic war chief, they're going to have more abilities that are stronger, and it's going to be harder for the enemy to take that fortress back. So it's definitely worth, if you come across someone who's very high rated in terms of like an epic or a legendary, dominate them and make him a war chief. It's going to help you out in the long run. All right, so once you've kind of done all the fortress stuff, you've kind of enjoyed assault in the fortress, you can then move on into the open world again, which is something that I really liked in Shadow of Mordor because it always gave you something to do, whether it was kind of like a little fight or a little mission to kind of get yourself ranked up a little bit higher. So in Shadow of War, obviously, once you've kind of got your war chief in power, you're going to get different missions within that zone to kind of complete. So if you've got like a machine in power, you're going to go be doing stuff to kind of like help collect resources and do missions that are kind of along that.
Right.
Kind of,
so they're tailored to your war chief.
Yeah. So in that zone, so you're going to get those sort of missions, and obviously there's still going to be loads of collectibles, loads of things to find and do, just like in Shadow of Mordor. So it's just kind of really just got a lot more depth, and they've expanded on a lot of things, which is really cool.
And that's cool because if you have different fortresses, you can put different, war chiefs, different tribes, and then see the different kind of missions that you'll get. So there's going to be so much content to get stuck into.
Yeah, it's just constantly evolving, which is really cool. And obviously, like I kind of finished Shadow of Mordor again recently.
Oh yeah.
So kind of really into the story, which is kind of once again why, because we've not seen any of the story so far, right? Well, I lie because I got to see it.
Well, he has. Lucky for some.
Yeah, no. So behind closed doors, once again, we got to see 2 of the story missions. The first one was this kind of mission where we went into this creepy forest, and I was expecting like a giant schlob to come flying out.
Oh no!
Like
no,
giant
don't
spider.
want that.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It's just
Okay.
kind of these orcs are just kind of wrapped up in vines and stuff, and it was actually all around this kind of tree, like kind of forest spirit, so to speak. I can't remember exactly what she was called, but she kind of effectively transforms into different beasts. So like wargs, drakes.
Okay.
And,
so she can transform into a dragon.
Yeah, and like a graug as well. So like effectively, she can transform into whatever she wants. She takes what shape she wants.
Well, she's terrifying.
So you go in there, and kind of she's like, you get told by Celebrimbor to kind of run away.
Right.
And it's just end up getting in a fight because you know it's Lord of the Rings, you fight everything.
You're not going to run. Why would you run?
So that's just kind of, you see that bit of the story, and then you fight against the forest spirit, which is quite difficult because there's 3 stages. So you've got to defeat her as a warg form first. She's kind of like made of branches and transforms.
Yeah.
Then you defeat her in the graug form. So shoot in the head loads of arrows, and then obviously turns into a drake and fights with that. And different stages. It's like it's just like a multi-stage fight.
When she's a drake, is it the same as when you try and dominate them? Kind of like just arrows from a distant
Yeah, that's like
attacks?
really what I was doing. I was just kind of shooting the arrows in the head and kind of bringing her down that way, and then it kind of, just once you've managed to do that, it kind of cuts to the cutscene where like Talion walks away going, oh, that wasn't too hard, and just gets pulled out by a root. So yeah, honestly, really cool mission, and it's kind of one of the things that I think we're going to get with Shadow of War is an awesome story. The next mission though was pretty cool because we come across this elf called Eltariel. I believe it's Eltariel.
Okay.
Right, who's actually going to be a playable character in the first DLC.
Oh,
so
nice.
this was something the developer told me. I was like, oh my god, that's awesome, because it means that there's going to be more and more content for you to do and play. And she's like kind of a badass, kind of like Legolas-like.
Oh, she's an elf.
Yeah, she had two.
Archer.
Yeah, she had 2 kind of like blades. Really cool.
Nice.
But yeah, so that mission as well was just kind of more kind of sneaking around, kind of a stealth mission. So kind of trying to interrogate worms to get information on things that were going on. And honestly, really enjoyed it. There's so much to look forward to.
Because you're not usually a stealth man. How did you find the stealth in Shadow of War?
It's a stealth mission. I didn't really play it stealthy, I'm not gonna lie. I just kind of did a load of shadow
Just
strikes.
run around screaming, killing
Well,
everyone.
no, because you just had to kind of interrogate them. So I was just kind of shadow striking, hit them because it will stun them, and then kind of holding B to do the interrogation.
Okay.
So it worked for me. It did work, but
okay,
it's probably not the traditional way of doing it.
No. So obviously the Nemesis System was one of the most incredible things about Shadow of Mordor, and it's been improved so much in Shadow of War, what they've done with it.
Well, it's like we were saying earlier, we had completely different experiences even though we played the same fortress, because the Nemesis System is going to tailor like enemies to you. They're all unique in looks, appearances, kind of voice, styles, kind of they're aggressive, not aggressive, what they like, strengths, weaknesses, so much to every single orc. And it's not just the captains and the war chiefs that you come up against, it's every single orc you come against.
Every single enemy, and that will really feed into those base missions trying to take down the fortresses, because obviously a lot of your nemesis are going to be part of that assault.
But that's the thing, it's great that you actually get a different experience all the time, because it means that normally in games in the past you just feel like you're killing the same enemy over and over again, but it's different. You kind of feel like, oh, that's one uglier orc orc than the last. And it's just, you get really into it. And obviously the Nemesis system will kind of allow them to have, like I said earlier, different strengths and weaknesses. So that orc might be scared of spiders or fire, or that one might not be able to be executed. You might be able to damage him with ranged attacks.
Right, they are a pain.
Yeah.
I had one of those where you just couldn't execute them, and it's like,
Yeah.
come on, let me do
It's
my
just like-
cool little cutscene
Just
thing.
bad, like kind of shadow strike kill that way.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, that's what Nemesis system is going to give every single time you play it. You're going to get a different experience.
Yeah.
Every single time, so you're never going to have the same experience. We play the same game
about
at the
to
same
say.
time. We'll get a different experience. We'll come against different enemies. And that's what's so good about Shadow of War. You've got so much to look forward to. There's going to be so much variety, so many more missions, things to collect, things to kill. It's gonna
Armor, weapons.
Loot. We haven't even gotten to loot.
Loot.
Oh my
Loot.
god. Okay, right. I think we have to talk about loot.
We've got to
because
talk about loot.
Who doesn't love loot? Right?
I love loot, and the fact that they've expanded it so much is great, especially with the challenges you have to do to unlock the loot's potential.
Yeah,
I think it's super cool.
So I actually got talking to it behind the closed doors. So in Shadow of War, obviously, in Shadow of Mordor, it was all runes on your weapons. You kind of got runes from killing like captains and war chiefs and everything to kind of improve your weapon. In this game, you get actual pieces of armor and equipment.
Yeah.
So you get like cloaks, swords, chest plates, and they will like you said, kind of you will complete challenges to get different bonuses. And then there's also gems. So you can get gems to increase each benefit like that. So once again, there's so many things that you can work towards in it.
So when I played it, I picked up I think it was a sword, or maybe it's a piece of armor that to unlock its, I think it was extra defense or something like that. You had to kill like 4 enemies in the space of a certain amount of time, or something like that. You know, it's those kind of challenges. So there's even more. They've expanded. It's not just about like collecting, you know, different loot and equipment and stuff. Once you get them, then you then got to do more stuff to get even more powerful. So it's just this super like dense system.
Yeah, there's like Shadow of War has got so much depth to it. You're gonna definitely want to hit that subscribe button, because we're gonna have loads of it right here on Xbox On. Also, let us know what you think in the comments below, what you've been enjoying about E3 so far.
Yeah, and make sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed this video, and we will see you for lots more E3 content. Bye.
Bye.